Okay, guys, here's my take on the recently closed Republican National Convention and on Trump's speech. First off, I think the best night of the four-night convention was Tuesday night. You had really outstanding performances by Trump's former primary rivals, Vivek, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis. You also had Marco Rubio. You had that absolutely heartrending speech by the two mothers who lost, or the speeches by the two mothers who lost children to fentanyl. And on the whole, it was a really, really powerful and riveting evening with lots of pathos and also a lot of power in the rhetoric and the oratory. A lot of charisma, a lot of great delivery. Wednesday night was probably best for the Jews because you had this guy, Shabbos Kestenbaum. You also had this couple who have a son who is a hostage in Gaza by Hamas. And I would say that in terms of Thursday night, that would have been the best night for the UFC, WWE crowd, and also appealing to the whole Sunbelt country music scene. I think the Trump speech was way too long. One of the best political speeches ever given in the history of America was Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. I think it took 4 minutes. It's so good that it's actually carved in stone at the Lincoln Memorial. The person who spoke before Lincoln spoke for an hour and put everyone to sleep. Often less is more. I don't know. I think Trump went on for like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. If he's trying to show that, unlike Joe Biden, he can speak for an hour and 20 minutes, okay. I thought the first part of his speech was pretty good when he was seemingly speaking from the heart about the near brush with death and his gratitude to Providence for his escape from that, and his thanking everyone involved in saving him, and also his tribute to the Buffalo firefighter who unfortunately was the victim of the assassin's bullet, and the other two people who were critically injured, and talking about the 6.2 million or now 7.2 million that was raised to help the families. That was all really, really good. When he started meandering and riffing and ad-libbing, maybe these things work at Trump rallies, but he was on a national TV audience, and it just went on and on and on and on. And then when he'd pick up the teleprompter again, it was often going over ground that he had done on an ad-lib basis, so he ended up repeating himself a lot. The other two weaknesses in the speech were his saying constantly, like never before, like never before, like never before, like never before in the history of the entire human race, or the Republican Party, or America, or whatever it is. When he says like there'll be a tax cut like never before, things like that. There'll be an economic boom like never before. Obviously, if people were never alive or sentient during the Reagan years, they would maybe take that at face value. But Reagan did all those things, and he did them extremely well. And before Reagan, there was Calvin Coolidge in the 20s who did very much the same thing, and it didn't tax cuts and such did not originate with Donald Trump, although he's used them very effectively in his first term. He also was gracious about thanking all the people who came to speak on his behalf, especially those that night. And I thought it was also very effective use of his family, and especially his 17-year-old granddaughter, Kai, who's very, very poised and telegenic, and would help probably with the youth vote a little bit. The family was used effectively to humanize him, but I think that he should have spoken for half as much time and been more to the point. I think at the end of thanking everybody and talking about his brush with death, he should have just said, let's move forward and heal America and make America the great place that we all want it to be, etc., and have a good night. He probably lost a huge chunk of the East Coast audience by going to 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But if he's looking for that Midwestern audience, the Central and Mountain time zones, well, then they were probably still up. But he also made a bad mistake where a couple of times when he was riffing, he spoke about the Democrats stealing the election from him, although one of the times with a caveat that it was COVID that enabled them to steal the election. People don't want to hear about all this election denial stuff, and he's been very, very disciplined in the last couple of months about not going there. And it was very effective for him in the debate with Biden. But he just could not control himself or bite his tongue. And also, he's just not that great when he's riffing and ad-libbing. I know there are people who very much disagree with me, but I think he should have stayed on message and stayed on script. So he gave a couple of sound bites to the Democrats to use against him in commercials, and to label him as a perpetual election denier. Also, in general, the tone of the convention was very good, and I'm glad that they stayed away from issues like abortion, which are very divisive, which was also very smart. I think that this is not a lock. A lot of Republicans are very puffed up, especially Trumpsters and Trumpians and Trumpites and whatever it is. But this election is not a lock. No, November 5th is 4 months away, and we're almost 4 months away, and a lot can happen. That's an eternity in politics. The Democrats could very well change their ticket enormously and make it to be a ticket that's more palatable to a lot of moderates and independents. I think also, although I like J.D. Vance, that was not the optimal pick for vice president. I think he should have reached across the aisle, so to speak, and chosen Nikki Haley, who would have brought a lot of strength to the ticket in terms of bringing in independents, moderates, and suburban women. Trump in 2020 lost the female vote. There are more women than men, and he needs those suburban women to carry him over the finish line, and J.D. Vance doesn't do anything to help with that. But we will see what happens. As we say, it's several months and an eternity away, and I wouldn't count the Democrats out, especially in vast parts of the country. People believe in the Democratic platform with all their heart and soul, and they're going to go out there and fight to hold on to power. So my final thought is that Trump was right in saying in the first half of his speech that if Democrats are very serious about turning down the heat and the tone and the volume, that they should drop all of their lawfare and litigation against him, which is really very much gratuitous and without merit, which is why so many of these cases have been thrown out or will be overturned on appeal. So anyway, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening.